Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just explaining a piece of history. We're opening a cold case file. The victim, an entire species of human. The crime scene, the whole continent of Eurasia. And the main suspect? Well, that's us. For 40,000 years, this case has been collecting dust, but one simple, terrifying question still haunts us. Where did they all go?
Okay, to get into this, we're not going to start with a fossil. We're going to start with a feeling. You know the one. It's that deep, gut-level revulsion you get when you see a robot that moves just a little too much like a person, or a doll whose eyes look just a little too real. That chill that runs right up your spine? Yeah, that's the Uncanny Valley.
But here's the theory. What if that feeling isn't just some random psychological quirk? What if it's a ghost, an evolutionary echo buried deep in our DNA? A memory from a time when our ancestors came face to face with something in the dark forests of Ice Age Europe that looked like a man, but wasn't.
Now, to solve any crime, you have to understand the victim. And in this case, the victim was a species that, for a very, very long time, was way more successful than we were. I'm talking, of course, about the Neanderthals. Think about this number for a second. 300,000 years. That's 100,000 years longer than our species, Homo Sapiens, has even existed. For all that time, Neanderthals were the undisputed rulers of Ice Age Eurasia. They were the apex predators of a brutal, frozen world. And let's get the old cartoon stereotype out of our heads right now. These weren't dumb, grunting brutes. Neanderthals actually had brains larger than ours. They were built like powerlifters, with dense bones and thick muscles, tough enough to hunt mammoths up close with spears. They even had a culture. They cared for their wounded, they buried their dead. They were, in a word, masters of their world.
And then, the scene shifts. Around 45,000 years ago, a new character walks on stage. It's a slender, aggressive, and frankly invasive species pouring out of Africa. Homo sapiens. That's us.
And this was never going to be a fair fight. It was a complete clash of styles. You had the Neanderthals, built for close quarters, brute force power. And then you had us, built for tactical, long-range cruelty. They lived in small, isolated family groups. We moved in large, networked tribes.
So here's the crucial thing to understand. Our big advantage wasn't raw strength, it was strategy. We had projectile weapons, spear throwers, maybe even early bows that could kill from a safe distance. And even more terrifying, we had this unique ability for large-scale organization. It was basically the lone wolf going up against the organized pack.
Okay, let's get to the forensics, because honestly, the timeline is just too perfect to be a coincidence. While the climate was changing, a lot of evidence suggests the deciding factor wasn't the weather, it was us. The forensic trail points to a systematic, continent-wide slaughter.
I mean, just look at this timeline. For hundreds of thousands of years, Neanderthals survive everything the planet can throw at them. Ice ages, you name it. We show up, and within just a few thousand years, they're gone. The very last of them, pushed to the literal edge of the known world, die out in Gibraltar.
And the archaeological crime scenes? They tell a really gruesome story. Researchers have found Neanderthal bones with wounds that are a perfect match for the kinds of projectile weapons sapiens were using. They found their skeletons butchered in the exact same way we butchered mammoths. This suggests that to our ancestors, they weren't just rivals, they were prey. We hunted them.
But this story takes one final, deeply unsettling turn. See, this crime wasn't just about extermination. It involved a violation so profound that its evidence is carried inside most of us to this very day.
The most chilling piece of evidence isn't buried in a cave, it's in our cells. Every single person of non-African descent alive today carries between 1% and 4% Neanderthal DNA. There's a ghost in our machine.
This genetic trophy, it tells a story of violent intimacy. It means that somewhere in the middle of all the war and the slaughter, we didn't just kill them, we absorbed them. We took parts of them, their genes, their immunity to local diseases, and then we simply wiped out the rest.
So all the evidence points to a single grim verdict. The motive? Competition for land and food. The means? Superior tactics and terrifying organization. The opportunity? Our relentless expansion across their homelands. The result was total, absolute annihilation.
The conclusion to this 40,000-year-old cold case is just chilling. The evidence is overwhelming. The reason we are the last human species standing is because we eliminated all the others. We are the survivors, but we are also the executioners.
So the next time you feel that little shiver in the uncanny valley, maybe it's not just a quirk, maybe it's a memory of what was probably the first and most complete genocide in the history of the world. The silence of our extinct cousins is the loudest accusation against our own nature, and it leaves us with one final haunting question. Why are we alone on this planet? Because we made